Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome. Very, very blessed, productive, heartfelt, warm, and inviting welcome to each and every one of you to be a part of our open line until 1:30. We're good friends from HSH to join us for a bit. We talk about World Cancer Day, but let's get into it. 949-8037, 949-6990, and of course you can WhatsApp 925-32621. Please join us for an engaging, invigorating, exciting, and informative talk today.
Talk Today is reminding you.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard.
And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
So much for joining us as we invite you to be a part of a discussion. We want you to recognize, that sometimes because we may take it for granted, we may fail to remember it exists, or we may allow people to trample, and all of a sudden those freedoms that we once enjoyed as feeling as if they weren't fettered, all of a sudden they are, no longer. So, I want you to share your thoughts with us. If you can do it in a dispassionate way, if your impassioned plea means that you may sound emotive, so be it. If it's that you are, so enraged and inflamed that as you share your thoughts, others may say, boy, something got him riled up, or her. Yeah, let it be. It's about speaking, from a perspective of being engaged and informed, about being willing to stand in a gap, and about recognizing that as things transpire, that they're not always, for the best. But whereas, silence does not convey consent, right? We may be, fooled into believing that we acquiesce simply because, or we don't at all share our views. And sadly, when we do, if we do so after the fact, well, what's the benefit? If we read a footnote and it just falls into history, it may fall into oblivion. It may be only referenced somewhere if someone happens to inadvertently stumble upon it. What's the use? So let's be deliberate and conscious. Let us be as much as possible specific in our objectives and endeavors. And let us not fail to realize that if we do not stand, as the song says, for something, we'll fall for anything. But let that thing for which we stand be something meaningful. I share with you an opportunity I had, very, very early this morning. And for some of us, it may seem earlier than for others. But as some of you would know, before the day gets underway, a few of us will assemble and have, our daily devotion. Some will be, in exercise. Others will be very pensive in their studies as they're contemplating how they're going to navigate their career choices and their next steps. But what's the point in having a lot of wealth if you can enjoy it. Not frivolously, and not to by influence, as I've always said. And if you think it's wrong or impolite, then tell me. I repeat what I heard some wonderful ladies in our community share. Not because of their life experience, but because of equally, what they stand for. They say money can't buy class. Yeah, and some of you may have heard it, at least in the local parlance. You can take the man out of the bush, but you can't take the bush out of the man. However you phrase it, having deportment and decorum, having a sense of great respect for self and others is important. Being that example, and we're increasingly failing to realize that whether you're a police officer, a politician, whether you're a pastor, a teacher, a parent, sometimes the example we set is woefully lacking. So let's not be that. Let's be better. All right? There's a simple difference between bitter and better in one letter, but it's a significant difference in what it stands for. So, as the question is asked, what is on your mind? 949-8037, 949-6990. And there were a couple of things from this discussion earlier. And because it included a number of students who were, my words, lamenting about what they see the future looking like, that should make your heart heavy, but it will also make you much more inclined to step up to the plate. And they were sharing one, here they are, some applying for scholarships as undergraduate. Now, these are not students who have been to university who are looking for graduate studies. These are students who are either, recently graduated, from high school, some who have been trying to find and some meaningful employment, some who have struggled to find anything, and as they're seeking, tertiary education, they are finding that it's been a challenge because they've had a number of years where, yes, they were trying to be productive, but nothing meaningful. And now, if they get a scholarship, whether from a private sector entity, whether it's through the government's scholarship offer, and quick reminder, that closes, the overseas scholarship closes tomorrow, the 31st of January. Parents, please just check in with your children, see where it's coming, how you can help. Yes, we want them to be independent and to do as much as possible, but check, make sure that you get it. You don't need to have an acceptance letter from the school of choice, but you need to show that you have been in communication with them. So please, if you're applying, you're not quite sure where you are, get it done. Right? There's probably a lot more that you need to do. I know a handful of students who are waiting for certain things and who are having some internet issues, even talking to the internet provider and realizing, wait a minute, we're not quite sure what the problem is. The bill is paid, the connection seems good, but yes, there's an issue. Now, I am not one to say I know how to resolve that technical side, but there are many things. So I want to talk about what those children shouldn't call it that, those young people, those students were sharing. 949-8037, 949-6990. Miss Susan, should we offer a prize to the caller? Yeah. Okay. So she says the prize is... No, she didn't say that. There's a call, right? Let's take the call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for sharing.
Sterling boy, you know that with me, that way you hold back that little gift.
No, man, if I knew that were you, I definitely would hold it back. All right, so
anyway, I'll get something someday.
Yeah. Not only will your reward be in heaven, but let's ensure that your reward is now so that you can celebrate, man.
How you doing, my buddy?
Very thankful, and if I may share this and be guided by you, certainly want you to share what you want. On one hand, very motivated and encouraged by not only the interest and the industriousness of our young people, but by the same token, a little heavy-hearted, because here are these young people whose lives are ahead of them, and they should be filled with a sense of enthusiasm and hope, and yet you can see in them a growing concern. And that, I think, is where I look at it, because that concern is probably coming not only from their perceptions and observations, but from what they're hearing from teachers and the education system, and also parents, coaches, and the others in their lives, in that the future doesn't look that bright for them. When I was that age, man, I was on top of the world. I could do anything, conquer anything. That was my belief, that the world was my oyster. These young people are concerned that there's no future for them.
But the young people, Sterling, and I have to agree with what our lady said just now. I have to agree with her. She correct with what she's speaking. And what's happening is the government is spending, and again, we have to go back to them because by the end of the day, it all comes under them. They are focusing more on the infrastructure of the Cayman Islands, and they're forgetting the future of the Cayman Islands, and that is our young people.
Yeah, but go ahead. No, go ahead. I would say all I'm gonna say is that not only are we forgetting the future, we're actually ignoring the now, the present.
The present, because I mean, when you stop and think, the children today are discouraged. They don't want to waste the time to go out to college for 4 years, and they know when they return that there's nothing there for them to do but go and work for $4, $5, $6 an hour.
Yeah.
Why is the government putting our children into that predicament? Why?
Let me ask, and I've heard this many times, sadly, over the last. I want to think of how old that particular young person is now. And I want to say easily 10 years ago when I first heard it. And I'd probably even be longer than that, but an easy 10 years, right? So this is 24, so 14, right? She came home and she was having a conversation according to what the parent relayed to us, right? This was apparently not the first time that this child and the class was told this, okay? The teacher and the seemingly teachers said to these young students, oh, you don't need to bother to go to university, right? Not everybody needs to go to university, which is, in itself could be not a bad statement as long as we continue in education. But you're a young Caymanian, and government will take care of you. And I'm putting it very kindly. But the way that student, right, that young person conveyed what was being shared to that class repeatedly by a couple of teachers.
Yeah.
Not only was discouraging, disrespectful, but went against everything I thought and experienced in my life from teachers who would encourage you, who would tell you, listen, you could be anything you want to be, right? You just need to work hard. Let me help you to get there. And now to have heard this one little girl, I shouldn't even call her that, but say that, and to presumably, right, not just hearing it once, twice, or 3 times, but to have other children, right, be told the same thing. Now, something is fundamentally wrong with that. And the parent just sit there and, did nothing. Had no conversation with the students, seemingly with the parents, with the teachers, amongst the PTA. I mean, that is... there's a word that comes to mind, but unconscionable isn't strong enough.
Yeah. But you say that when you get up by bar, because you just shout out that, but don't say it on the radio.
Oh no. I appreciate.
But that, Sterling,
yeah.
I said it for years since I started calling the talk show. That is where the discouragement comes in for our young people.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't normally go to ceremonies, graduation ceremonies.
Right.
I don't normally go to them.
Fair enough.
One year I went to one, and I think it was my oldest child. And the principal got up and said, it doesn't matter whether they learn or not. These procedures still has to go through. These ceremonies still have to go through. That was the word. Ceremonies still has to go on. I mean, how can a principal stand up and say, it doesn't matter whether the children learn? Listen, Sterling, you know what's wrong? You know what's wrong? We sit down home, we go to work, we don't know what our children are going through, and I can tell you this from experience, from people or the parents telling me, their children come home and say, the teachers are telling them this, the teachers are calling them this, and they've not got nobody to go like me to go stand up and challenge them into their face and say, listen, the next time you say something to my child, I am going to take you down. I don't care how tall he is, how fat he is, or how skinny he is.
Yeah.
These are the things that we got to do in this island here. We as the parents, we as the people, we know our children are hurting. We know our children are struggling, and we don't know what kind of abuse that they're going through in classes during the time that they're there.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, Sterling, when them children go through abuse in the classroom, the teachers manipulate their mind and tell them don't go home and say nothing.
Yeah.
I know that from a child.
Wow.
And that is sad. That is sad. But I don't want to cut you off.
No, man. You might be saving me for my comments.
yeah. Where we come away from was when we had a good system in the Cayman Islands, and I say it over and over and over again, and I will tell it to the Premier, I will tell it to the King of England. When we came away from that British system in the schools, that destroyed the schools. When we went to the Caribbean system, that destroyed the schools.
Right.
When we came away from the British system, and our children are struggling to know that they're gonna have a future, because the ones that we bringing in making the big salary, and they don't care whether the children learn or not.
Right.
And that is sad.
I know you had called for the things. Miss Susan reminded me we got to take the break. Do you have some other stuff you want to share? You want to hang on, or you want to join us? What works for you?
No, I'll just hang on. Just hang on.
All right. Thanks very much, man. We'll continue that conversation. Just stay tuned.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Welcome to a new year with Digicel. Elevate your mobile experience by switching to our prepaid or postpaid plans. Enjoy more data, seamless communication, and uninterrupted entertainment. Plus, make the switch now for a chance to win exciting rewards. Stay connected, entertained, and make 2024 your year with Digicel. Because better connections make a better year. From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and Top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh. Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks too to Mr. James Albert Christian for hanging on and always sharing your thoughts, man. Thanks again for being so willing to engage us. But you were sharing. Let me listen, and then let's take it from there.
All right, cool. What I wanted to say was, in our Caribbean system that we have the children going to the schools, we hear the big ceremonies. We hear it even on the radio. We hear the ministers come on, and you hear them boasting and bragging, and you hear them the chief ministers for education and the likes and all the other ones come on, and yes, they make it sound good about giving out scholarships to this one and that one in schools. But Sterling, let me pinpoint something. It's all nice and done at the end of the day. For them to say that they're giving out scholarships and children can get scholarships because of their academic achievements in school. But my fight to this whole situation is, what about that little child or those little children in school that are struggling because they're not that smart to get those high quality certificates at the end of that day to graduate, and they gotta go up there and they just gotta walk off the stage with just one little thing saying they graduated. Now listen to this, see if you can fathom this. When it comes to them giving overseas scholarships to the high ones that qualified, that graduated with high honors, what about that little boy that had one little B or one little C when he was up in the industrial arts trying to make one little wood project, and he never passed, and he just barely made it through with a little half decent score? These little boys are coming out that would like to be in constructions. You hear scholarships from government going out regarding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I never heard it. Maybe you heard it. But you tell me that the government are offering scholarships for people coming out of schools into the construction field, to go into the construction fields and doing these different type of works. They're offering scholarships for those that are there to go in banking, nursing, and all these higher degrees and higher level opportunities. What happened to the low-grade child? That same low-grade child, all the big shots in the world have never came out of school with a diploma and have conquered the world the way we are today with technology and everything else. But they leave behind that little black sheep and don't want to give that little black sheep no credit for the amount of years he spent in school trying his endeavor best. Who knows how much times he went in the bathroom and cried because other children was overshadow him with their academic achievements. It's sad, but our government overlooks our people, our leaders in this education system overlooks them little ones, and they're the ones that they should be focusing on. Sterling, I'm not saying something from what I thinking. I am telling you something from what I've been through, what I saw when I was going to school, and what I still see in today is still happening, and it's sad.
Yeah, man. But as I listen to you, we recognize immediately two things. Not only do we learn, differently. Some of us learn one way, some of us, but we blossom at different times, right?
True.
And the child that seemingly may have an interest in, as you call it, industrial arts, or the like, or who may want to get into construction, that's a strong skill. And do we show sufficient respect for the sector, but also are we nurturing, encouraging, and providing opportunities? Now, when we look, and this kind of ties, I thank you for what you're sharing, because it ties nicely into what some of the children again, I call them children, these students were sharing earlier. We have a population. If we round it to 100,000 because it's easier to sort of calculate, per 100,000. If the Caymanians in our population is at 5, 10, 15,000, and even if you include, whether by law or other, let's say it's 20, 30,000, it's still a relatively small number when compared to the rest of the population. So our students who may be encouraged or who may have that interest or, to go into, say, medicine or law or accounting or teaching or engineering, there's only so many. We don't have enough people to be everywhere. And this is where they were saying earlier, if we are, as an example, if we're developing every bit of developable land today, tomorrow, in the next 5 years, what's going to happen in 50 years? And if we're expecting all our people to be in all of the areas all at a time, we can't be operating at full employment and the economy running at 100%, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Are we looking at it? From that, you can extrapolate that they're talking about, making it sustainable. A word that's become a cliche. They talk about making it consistent so that this thing continues for as long as possible. One of them said they have a parent in the construction sector, and for a while, there was more work than it can be handled. But it was, 10 projects going on at one time, and you're trying to manage this thing as opposed to you finish one, you go to the next one, you finish one, you go to the next one, and you might have work for 10 years as opposed to 10 projects all in 1 year. As an example, right? Yeah. Can I read to you and to others a comment? I'll read it as it's sent. This is exactly how this person writes this. So I can read it verbatim. That guy is so true. I have a 5-year-old son going to East End School. You know what? He tell me and his mom that he don't like the teacher. So what that show me, she's doing the teacher, she's doing the children them something. My son keep running out of the class, right? Now, I know many of us, we're busy and we just writing text speak, right? And I wanted to read it like that so that I did not miss anything, but I wanted to convey the person's emotion as best as I can, right? Yeah, so if in our school, for whatever reason, nobody wants to accuse anybody in an unfounded way, but if it's a Sabbath school, a Sunday school class, a youth group at church, a sports club, a school, or any environment, to what extent are we ensuring that the children are engaged, but also safe? Are we ensuring that whatever little reticence and reluctance that they may be a bit shy or whichever, that it isn't from them being a little bit, less than assertive, easy, as some would say, and not something else. And where we as parents, protecting and providing. Now, I say that because during the break, I looked at something that someone else said, and talking about education, the person shared, and I think we got to take the break. So let me mull this over, and then you was there more you wanted to share, or we catch up with you another time?
No, I just wanted to comment on what you were saying, but I mean, if I can leave it to another time and give someone else a chance, that's fine. It's up to you.
No, bro, I'm on your time. I'm at work. I'm sitting in my chair. I ain't got a chair label. Listen.
I own that tree in my chair, so.
All right, man.
All right, I'll hold on a couple more minutes, and then I'll give someone else a chance.
Good. All right. Let's hear this news. Let's hear the news at 2, but first let's hear the commercials and come back to us. Stay tuned.
Imagine a future where every Caymanian has an affordable home to cherish. The Ministry of Housing is calling on you to help shape this future. Be a part of the Cayman Islands Public and Affordable Housing Policy. Go now to www.cihousingplan.org, the Share My Ideas section, and be heard. Or join in person at public consultations held the 30th of January at 7 p.m. at the Aston Ruddy Center in Cayman Brac. Little Cayman residents may participate virtually. Open for everyone, a special virtual public consultation will also be held on February 1st from 12 to 1 p.m. via CIGTV, YouTube, and Facebook. For more information, contact Public Works at CI Housing Plan at public-works.org or send WhatsApp message to 1332-287-9037. Together, we are building a brighter, more sustainable housing future for the Cayman Islands. Your ideas, your voice, your future. Let's shape it together.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's Home Loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Cayman Brac, are you ready for fiber? Flow Fiber is now available island-wide across Cayman Brac. Get faster speeds and a reliable internet connection only with Flow. Visit the Flow Stake Bay store or discoverflow.co to sign up today. Flow Fiber is now available island-wide across Cayman Brac. Join Cayman Brac's only fiber network. Terms and conditions apply.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. When your belly roars like a lion, you need a lion to fill it. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Breakfast is back. This Saturday, February 3rd, at the Lions Community Center. Enjoy a tasty Caribbean breakfast of fish and fritters, liver and onions, and ackee and saltfish, starting at only $12. Get your Caribbean breakfast and support the Lions Club of Grand Cayman in their community efforts. This Saturday, February 3rd, at the Lions Community Center, starting at 7 a.m. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman, serving the people of the Cayman Islands for over 5 decades.
We give you honor and praise, adoration and glory.
Radio Cayman.
Praise time.
Praise him, praise him. Come and let's praise the Lord. Come and let's praise the Lord. Praise him in the morning and in the evening. Oh, let's praise the Lord.
Praise time in the morning.
Praise him, praise him.
Weekdays 6 to 6:30 a.m.
Radio Cayman, waking you up.
Rock my soul in the blues of my favorite. Rock my soul in the blues of my favorite.
Praise time.
I know he cares. He'll always be there. Oh, yeah. Praise him, praise him, praise him.
Praise time.
Set your clock for 6 a.m. or you will miss it.
105.3 Breeze FM live. Now it's an Man Bushman representing for 105.3 Breeze FM.
Hey, this is DJ Lynn. Join me Sundays from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Breeze 105.3 for Beach and Reggae Sundays. Whether you're out in a boat, in the backyard, or simply on the beach catching some sun, it's the perfect way to unwind for the weekend as the sun sets on our beautiful Caribbean Sea. Join us this Sunday from 2 p.m. on Breeze 105.3 Beach and Reggae Sundays. Brought to you by Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your non-stop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now Barbados. And Healthcare Pharmacy, located in Governor Square and Grand Harbor. Open Sundays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Country classics.
One night of love don't make up for 6 nights alone.
No one could steer me right, but Mama tried. Mama tried. You're cheating hard. You load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. I'm a honky-tonk man.
Country classics.
She's a good-hearted woman in love with a good time tonight. On a Sunday morning sidewalk.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
I'm so lonesome I could cry. I'd love to wake up in your arms tomorrow, but I'm so afraid of losing you again.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman. Country classics.
Covering Little Cayman, Cayman Bragg.
Cover me.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. A man has turned himself into police and been arrested for suspected grievous bodily harm. This is after the accused got into an altercation with the victim, where he retaliated by burning the victim's face. In international news, a court has heard that Run DMC star Jam Master Jay was shot dead more than 2 decades ago by his godson as revenge for being cut out of a drug deal. Carl Jordan Jr. and another man, Ronald Washington, have gone on trial in New York accused of murder. In their opening statements on Monday, prosecutors claimed the pair carried out an execution that was motivated by greed and by revenge. However, their lawyers told the jury they did not kill the pioneering DJ. Police have arrested 5 people after several bodies were found shot with gunshot wounds in a remote area of Southern California's Mojave Desert. 6 bodies were found after a gunshot victim called 911, sending a police helicopter to the grisly crime scene. Investigators for the San Bernardino Sheriff's Office said on Monday that the dispute appeared to be related to illicit marijuana production. 4 of the 6 victims have been identified, so far, police said. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter. Radio Cayman Headline News.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands. Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP. Following the 1932 hurricane, like most young men growing up in Cayman during the era, the call of the sea was heard more strongly than any other. Keith Tibbetts Sr. of Cayman Brac was no different. After assisting with the rebuilding of the family home, resurrecting the family car, and helping other relatives and the community rebuild, he built and sold several catboats before going to Jamaica to seek employment as a seaman. In 1936, he joined the Canadian banana boat Lady Somers and eventually found himself involved in the global war effort. Keith participated in the evacuation of Dunkirk in World War II. He served in the Merchant Marine from 1939 to 1940, and then as a seaman gunner on the Jamaica Pioneer. On D-Day, Keith Tibbetts was off the coast of France, manning an anti-aircraft gun. Following this, he joined the Royal Fleet Auxiliary, where he served until his ship was torpedoed and sunk by a German submarine. Following this, he took a job on a tanker, which was home-based in Trinidad for bunkering American convoys, carrying military personnel and supplies to the European allies, becoming chief engineer. Following the war efforts, Keith continued his shipping trade, moving into boat building with his brothers, joining the Trinidad Shipping Company and National Bulk Carriers. This was part 5 of a special Sister Islands vignette series dedicated to Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts.
I'll be back. I've got 22 more days.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us as we invite all of the callers to share, but we're very grateful for the fine gentleman to engage in us, intriguing us with some of his commentary. So thanks again for holding on. Let me not, impose
problem,
on you any longer than you wish to share, man.
Yeah, man. I got to finish up now, so somebody else can get a chance. One more thing I like to say, Sterling. I guess I am one of my deepest passions, and that was one of the things that caused me to run for election this year, and that is because of the children. And why I say that is, it seems like our government is leaving our children for dark. Let me say that again. Leaving our children for that company called DART to take in the children in order for them to have jobs. Right now, I spoke to a lady in Spot Bay regarding her daughter, that a certain politician mentioned that child would have had a decent job. And that person, up to today, is still working along the streets of Kim Brock, cutting and cleaning the roads. Had good grades, promised the world, and now we'll hold on to that promise for that child. Many are out there today that was promised jobs in the Cayman Islands, and many has come from foreign and replaced those same jobs that our government supposed to have those children that has been long out of school. And today, hopefully they can remember their education, because when you don't use it, you lose it. And I can't get my grips on what is happening until this final solution come around called election time. That is when they come out promising everybody. But I got telling everybody that hearing me. I got 4 children, and my last one is so discouraged. She don't want to go to no college, and the child has good education, good qualifications, good high papers coming out of school, and she's discouraged because you know what she's saying. When she come back, it ain't gonna be nothing here for her to do, but just what government throw her in for her to make $7-8 an hour. Can you imagine? That is a Cayman child.
So
it disgusts me, Sterling. I don't mean to cut you off. No. It disgusts me to the marrow of my bone to know that we have people down in that building called that LA building, Grand Cayman, that digging themselves up in these for the uniforms in suits and lying to the people regarding education and scholarships and everything else for the children of Cayman. No, man, seriously.
Yeah, man.
It got be fireworks going on in the next couple of months. Trust me, Sterling. God give me the life and the strength. Fireworks gonna happen. You know what you do? You stay there, West Bay, because you don't need to go east and see them. You stay West Bay, you gotta see from there.
Well, I'll tell you what, right? As a father, as a parent, right? I would say to you that, all of us in that capacity would feel, the plight, as you shares that with you. But try to encourage her, as we all should try to encourage our children. My mom would say, you always at one point may need a piece of paper. So when she gets that education, there are 2 things immediately she now has credentials that can position her, whether in the Cayman Islands or elsewhere, to advance. But that piece of paper is just a first step to other things. But without that, is she that much more displaced, that much more disadvantaged? And somebody else, whether they're already here or whether they'll be coming here, would be in a more competitive advantage and better position to take up employment, whatever that looks like. So if she, gives up now, so to speak, or if our society through the home or the school or the wider community discourages our children as happening now, that's only going to make it harder for them in 30, 40 years, much less in 3 or 4. So, let's work together, man, to make sure our children understand that the future isn't as bad as some try to paint it to be. Right?
And yes, and the final step is our children are coming out of these schools.
Yeah.
They're spending 4 years into college. Sterling, those papers are those papers are I forget the word I was going to say there, but those papers are quality compared to the junk that these foreign people are coming in here and typing off a computer overnight and giving government and saying they got qualifications. That ain't no proof, but we have to send our children to school for 17 years and then we send them off to another 4 years, and then the government still can't acknowledge that paper worth something. Something sadly wrong, Sterling. I thank you for your time, Bo. And when I see you, I hope I can help my pocket full of dark chocolate.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Come on.
And just that, that willingness to share as we fellowship. But thank you so much for sharing. And I hope the others listening, especially fathers, right? Fathers in particular, men in general, but fathers in particular, and parents, would appreciate that as the fine gentleman is sharing, we draw alongside our children, we support them, we want to provide, we want to protect, we want to nurture, we want to encourage. My mom always says, and I'm giving you right for wrong. You do wrong, you know about it, but I stand there to help you. She would not do our schoolwork or homework for us for a couple of reasons. One, she knows it. No point in her doing it again, even if she could do it. There was a time when we got to a certain stage. She's like, I don't know what this is. Greek would be a lot easier to decipher than this, but you need to do it because that's what you're going to school for. And there was a strong relationship and interaction between my household and the school. I don't know if it was like in mine as it was in yours or yours as it was in mine. But there was a note being passed back and forth between the teacher and the home. And, you took it home, the parent looked at it, and it went back. I don't know if anybody else did it, but I didn't dare open that note, right? And there was that way of the teacher and the parent, communicating and sharing. And, she found a way for all of us to get to the reporting sessions. Now, they probably call different things these days. There was no online portal, no emails. But there was an engaged, involved, very, very actively, informed parent and school. Now, I said to share that during the break before last, someone was saying, together with some other parents, they were very active in the school, only to be told by the quote-unquote school administration, you're here too much. And it wasn't the most pleasantly conveyed, manner, which is concerning. Maybe we'll expound to that, but let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
Hey, and to you, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing good, and I just listening to my boy on the phone on your was talking to you just now.
Yeah, man.
Points, really good points.
Exactly.
I gonna speak off of my experience as well, because by being a student of the Cayman Islands when I was going to school, they would have probably wished that I really didn't make it until 18 years old, for real. But here I am, right?
Well, yep, thank God, man.
Yeah, well, here what I God forbid I ever want to try and run for elections as well, but with what I see going on, I'm pretty sure that the educational system is not working for the Caymanians as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because first of all, you have to have a successful business as a parent to have your children inherit that business in order to have a successful life in the Cayman Islands. Because if you do have an education in the Cayman Islands, it means nothing as long as you're a Caymanian.
Why do you think that is? I mean, I have heard that not only from, if we can term it, generational Caymanian, but even from some people who have subsequently acquired Caymanian status, right? To say that they've only been mistreated, marginalized, maligned, and other negative things after, not all, but some, after they got status, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a friend who, he has more than once apologized for saying with us that, oh boy, you guys don't know what you're talking about. That's foolishness. He gets status. Many of us wrote, letters of recommendation because he and the family are wonderful people, great addition to any community. And now, the treatment he's getting in his workplace, only hearing his side of the story, would sound like he's gone from the favored son, to the black sheep.
Yeah, well, the way how I think of it is like by what I heard by Dr. Steve Matfield, they don't trust Caymanians. They just don't trust Caymanians. I don't know if it's just because the way how we speak. I don't know if it's just because we use words like honor than you all or y'all. I don't know if it's just because of that. They don't understand certain things. But if I go to Tortuga and ask them for a beef patty and an energy drink, and they come out to bring me an energy drink and a sun kiss because they thought that I said something else. You see, this is where it comes in. They tend to listen to the foreigners versus listening to Caymanians because they don't understand us.
Yeah.
They don't understand us, but that's not my problem, though.
Yeah, but
that's not my problem. That's theirs.
Yeah, let me ask you though. Go ahead. Go ahead and talk. I got two things to ask you.
Because from what I've observed, they have elders and then they have older persons, and apparently they're using their words to fool us Caymanians in order to think that they are better. They're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look at it, right? Look, in fact, before I get to the two things I want to ask you, look at the word persons. I want everybody to look it up and understand that there are some of us who use that either because our legal practice drafted a document, persons become the favorite terminology. If you look it up, and even some of the online things that's somewhat credible, it would say, through dictionaries and like persons, the word persons is an archaic term, and the plural for person is people, but yet we increasingly say it. Now, for me personally, I find that to be a word that I refuse, openly and actively refuse to use. I don't like the way it sounds. That's a preference, right? But yet, look at how many Caymanians, just yesterday alone, right? And it's because I'm consciously doing it, talking to Caymanians. How many of them would say that? Not just in interviews with them on air or off air, just in regular conversation. I go, when did that happen? Like so many things, our local parlance, our foods, little things are changing. Not that they're necessarily egregious or offensive or otherwise, improper, but it's a change that may not necessarily be so subtle. Said to share that you use the word they, and I was asking of you that they don't want us, they not trusting us, that they may be actually us. Our Caymanians are our worst enemies. Are we the ones who are keeping our own down? Are we the ones who are voting and are being elected? Are we the ones that are, making it harder for us to get ahead? Are we so? And if this offends people, please understand it's not said with malice. It's said with an inquiring and seriously strong concern. Are we the ones that are putting the stumbling blocks, the impediments in the lives of our children, getting education, getting the necessary accolades, getting the opportunities, the extracurricular activities, getting the work experience, getting these things, right? Because we don't want that one to get it because his grandfather's grandfather dog had a cat that chased a rooster. Hey, listen, until you love yourself, you can't love nobody else, right? And until we stop blackguarding, begrudging, and being so bad-minded, we're going to have people in position, either elected or appointed or somehow, behind the scenes, pulling the strings or having their strings pulled, they're going to be to our detriment, right? Now, go ahead.
No, well, it reminds me of manners. Right? When we have manners, we were all raised up with manners. We were learned how to say good morning, good afternoon, good night, good evening.
Yeah.
And how are you?
Yeah.
But when I think of it, it reminds me of this morning when I was at work.
Uh-huh.
There's a old lady that was struggling to get out of her vehicle because she was parked in the front of a garbage can, and she was like just shoving that garbage can out of her way. But I was like, okay, let me assist her because she needs a little help. I assist her, and then the first thing that she was to tell me is who it is that parked there. And I was like, good morning to you too, but it's a company vehicle and they needed the space. She's asking me, is it okay? And I just said, do as you please. But this is the type of behavior that we're encouraging. These are elderly people that are telling us how to behave, but they do not behave the way that they're telling us to.
So we no longer set an example.
Right,
yeah.
That's an example setting for us.
Yeah, man. Well, it's the same with, if you look at business leaders, if you look at parliamentarians, right? In the Cayman Islands, in the region, across the globe, if I take your point, what example are we setting as adults, as parents, right? As people in a position of authority, from the police officer to the pastor, right? Now, it could be that there's so much negativity, there's so much stress, for want of a better way to phrase it, that people are experiencing, that their level of self-control isn't as, really to hand as it should be. But I guess we've got to be responsible and accountable for ourselves as best as we can. But can I ask you the second thing, though? You said something about running for politics. Let me ask you, not just to you directly, and I don't expect, nor am I asking you to answer, you're welcome to as you wish, but to you and everybody else, if you're eligible, right, first get registered to vote. I don't think that's a political statement. Be a part of the democratic process. But why not consider being a candidate? Why not consider, if John can do it, why not Mary? If Peter can do it, why not Pam? Why won't you consider being a candidate or being more actively engaged with someone else's candidacy?
Well, if I can answer that very honestly, the only reason being that I would say that I would run if it made sense, but at the same time, it almost seems as if they were being pulled to the odd direction. When I say the odd direction, I don't want to say left, I don't want to say right,
I hear you.
I don't want to say wrong. I want to say put to the odd direction, because apparently now we're adapting a new species of adaptation now. When I say new species, I don't want to say alien, but it's pretty alien to me. This whole alienated society that we're making, like, oh, I do not want to do this, but I'm going to give it to him, and I don't want to do that, but I'm going to give it to her. So when it comes into the work experience, it's almost as if they want to selectively put you into something where they feel like you should be versus where you want to be. When I was going to school, sir, Mr. Sterling, let me just say something.
Yeah,
right?
Of course, sir.
I was learning Spanish. I was raised up with a Spanish aunt, and she taught me how to speak Spanish. Now, when I was going to school, I was listening to how my teachers were speaking Spanish, and I was like, hey, I thought it was this way. But then they was like, okay, well, you want to correct us? And I was like, no, I'm just saying, when I speak it and when I hear it, it's this way, but you're saying that way. So how is that correct?
Yeah, man.
And by that, they've selectively told me that, no, you cannot pick Spanish class for your curriculum. And I was like, well, I need it for my job. And then I end up was forcefully picking a subject where I did not want to pick, which was either catering or mechanical class, and I do not like getting my hands greasy, so I picked catering. Now, by picking catering, it forced me to have to pick a job where I did not want to do for job experience, which was working in Margaritaville, or Senior Frogs at that time. And they was telling me that I had to work in the kitchen. I was like, I want to be a marine biologist. I want to work in the Department of Environment, at least gain some experience. I could be the best marine biologist in the Cayman Islands right now. I'll proudly say that, because I can grow corals at my home if I wanted to.
Right. Let me ask you. Okay, good. Yeah. Good.
They do not give the opportunity for children to select on their own, much less give them the guidance on where they should be going.
Right. In making that statement, you said you were not. So I want to ask you two things. Your selection of the Spanish, and then giving the guidance for the career choice. So the first one, you were told you were not allowed to take Spanish. Do you remember why they said to you? If you were interested in the subject, had some semblance of ability, had access to learning it, do you remember why you were told you couldn't take Spanish?
No, they didn't give me a reason. They just told me I already know Spanish, and I was like, okay, that's
Okay.
what you say.
Okay. Well, knowing Spanish, conversational, learning it as a second language, or being, in a bilingual home is not the same thing as being fluent in an academic way. The reason why I'm asking is I know some of us, how it was 1,000 years ago when we were in school. You had these options. So you had to choose between the subjects in option or group 1 and the subjects in group 2, and they all offered at the same time. You couldn't take both, subjects in those two groups. You had to pick between the one and so on. So was it that way in your case? If you wanted to do this, you couldn't do Spanish because they were being timetabled at the same time?
It wasn't that way. No,
Okay,
I had
okay.
all the options, and they told me I couldn't select that when I selected it.
Okay.
I selected the Spanish because it was in my options, and they told me, no, you can't.
Okay.
Because you already know Spanish. So I was like,
Wow.
what option is there for?
Wow.
So then, by saying that as well, I've noticed some stuff in the, for example, the CIS school, the Cayman Islands, what it is?
International
the Cayman
school.
Islands school.
Yeah.
Well, in that school, I've noticed that in the social studies class, they do not teach a single thing about Cayman history. Not a single thing. How can you not teach Caymanian history in a school, in an actual Cayman Island school?
But was that the same thing?
You have a generation of Caymanians that don't know anything about their culture. You have a generation of Caymanians that don't know anything about their history. And this is the reason why we are being taken over and then having the ideology of the rest of the world and then forgetting about our own world.
Yeah. Well, is that the same thing in terms of Caymanian history and like that had happened previously in other schools, government and otherwise, and maybe to some extent, maybe a lesser extent, but to some extent still happening now, not only in the class, the curriculum, but even from the teacher and instruction. So let me then ask you, you had an interest in marine biology, right? Again, going back to when I was in school, the teachers were trying to find your interests and help you to navigate. Didn't mean just because you wanted to be a doctor that you end up being a doctor. If you wanted to be a plumber, you have to have some ability and interest, right? But if you had that interest, they were trying to help you to see if they can get you there. So in your case, you had an interest in marine biology. Were you told why you couldn't pursue that?
They told me because I had to, it was mandatory. Then let me use that word. It was mandatory that I pick a restaurant to pass catering, which I didn't have any interest in.
Right, but you didn't want to do catering. They pushed you in that direction. You wanted to do marine
biology. But I never
so
had a choice.
Why did they push you in catering when was marine biology or something in that field in the sciences or anything else available to you? And if so, why not push you there? Why push you, make it mandatory, compulsory for you to go in an area that you had no interest? Do you remember why?
Well, no, I do not remember why. To be honest, I was too young, probably too fool to even think about those things to direct myself
Possibly.
as a child.
Possibly.
And let me tell you one thing that I found very interesting as well with that. They have the job experience. Now, as far as I can remember, the job experience was to give you exposure to work environments without getting paid, but getting the experience for education. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So then, without that job experience in the field that I was supposed to be in, or I feel like I should have been in, they would have not known who I was.
Yeah.
So that gives it ever more challenge for me to pick up that job.
Yeah. Well,
up to today.
I'll say this to you, and if anyone thinks it's improper to say, let me know, because I don't mind being accountable and held to account for what I say. I certainly don't like to be inaccurate. But to you and all of us, get engaged, be informed, and if it's somehow through political commentary or social engagement, let's do that thing now. For the last almost 24 months now, I've consciously stopped using the word or the phrase, I'm going forward. I've now substituted that. I want to move in a positive direction. Because like you just said then, that may be you got to step to the side, you got to step back a little bit, you got to go diagonal, right? Going forward isn't always synonymous with, something that is positive. So I want to move in a positive direction. And I share that to you that if you're interested, you showed me some of your videos, as a young father, and hopefully it's not too late. I mean, it may take a while. In university, there was this lady who, she was in her 80s when she finished her degree, right? She wanted to go to university. World War II was upon us. She could not continue her studies because, at that time it was probably hard enough for women to get into school and higher education, as it were. But she was there. Then she got, pulled into the factories to make bombs and all the other things that, made the war possible. And then, of course, she got married and got children and grandchildren, and life unfolded. And 1,000 years later, she decided, I want to go back and get my degree. And she did. That was for her. So I say that to say that serves as an inspiration to me, and maybe to you as well, when you consider, are there other avenues where you can not just pursue it as a hobby, but maybe one day, you would have not only published something through your research, but you may have come up with a very innovative approach to not just corals, but the environment. So pursue your passion, my friend.
Yes, sir. I can close off with one more thing.
Of course.
I would like to mention.
Uh-huh.
The employment rate on the Cayman Islands, is very low when it comes into Caymanians, right? We don't have a lot of Caymanians being employed, although there's a lot of Caymanians that want to be employed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to mention one important thing to me, and that is the legalization of marijuana. Let's get back to that. It sounds funny when I mention it because it's a consistent conversation to me. Like, it seems like a lot of people are discouraged to understand that it could happen, but they don't want it to happen, just like the same way how the LGBTQ community got their rights, right? But at the same time, Mr. Sterling, if marijuana does not become legal, this is what's going to happen. We're going to continue having amount of people that need to keep taking drug tests as if they're junkies. And marijuana is not a drug. Marijuana is a herb. And if we have to continuously take drug tests for consumption of a herb, I don't see any progress on this island. They need to consider legalization of marijuana, not the decriminalization of the use of marijuana. Legalize the marijuana so that we can make businesses for our future, so we can have a better employment rate, because we don't have to worry about if anybody smokes the herb. Sir, it's a lot of valid points other than the fact that we're going to smoke it, and then we will feel like we're going to be walking around in the streets drinking, smoking, just like how you see them drinking and driving and all those type of things, sir. It's more important things than that. I've been in a country where marijuana is legal, and they have a very good rate of employment on their own locals, and you know how much they make. You know how much people make money off of marijuana in the state of California alone? Look here, you imagine, Mr. Sterling, you don't have no professions at all except you being an 18-year-old child, an 18-year-old person or 21-year-old person know how to roll a joint, and you're making over $100,000 a year just knowing how to roll joints for people. Pre-roll, like you're trusted to make proper joints. Like, I'm just giving you an example of one job, sir, making over $100,000 a year.
Well, if you liken it to being just very loosely, very generalized approach in the medical field, and again, this is just my opinion only. In anything, and especially if we're looking at legalizing it, let's have a proper education so that we understand what we're doing, and as you shared, make sure that the benefits from employment to research to medicinal to manufacturing, construction, that it accrues to the country and its people, and not another thing that we end up making it to the benefit of others and at the disadvantage of the country and its people. Hey, thanks very much, my friend, for sharing. All right.
Yes, sir. All right.
All right. Talk to you very soon. And before we go into the break, let me just quickly read, as it's timely. This listener writes, to the caller's point. So I have worked in an environment where I've seen Caymanians return from university, where they are put on the job to familiarize themselves with the working of the office, yet they are given less chance than a person who has Caymanian status. The Caymanians are intimidated to report this because of losing their chance to stay in employment. I guess that should be the Caymanians are the business and staffing board is a joke. They should be visiting some of these offices by surprise to catch what is happening to our returning graduates. Many of our graduates have left and got good jobs overseas. Our immigration and transition law is useless for Caymanians. Well, I think that discussion of immigration, employment, and the like is one that needs to be had and as emotive as it can be, I'm sure we can find a way to make it constructive so that it benefits all of us, so that we maintain social harmony, and we improve the opportunities available, and we don't allow ourselves to become a place like we see around so many, where there's constant division and discord. All right, let's pause and take a break. When we return, our good friends from the HSA will join us. Let's talk to them, let's learn, and then we come back and we have more conversation. Please stay tuned.
Welcome to a new year with Digicel. Elevate your mobile experience by switching to our prepaid or postpaid plans. Enjoy more data, seamless communication, and uninterrupted entertainment. Plus, make the switch now for a chance to win exciting rewards. Stay connected, entertained, and make 2024 your year with Digicel. Because better connections make a better year. From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
February 14th. Not only is it Valentine's Day, but also the 55th Annual Agricultural Show returns to the Stacy Watler Pavilion in Lower Valley. Save the date, Ash Wednesday, February 14th. Fellas, you know what she wants? More plants. Ladies, you know what he wants? The food. And what better way to tire the kids out before Valentine's date night than at Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day. The 55th Annual Agricultural Show returns to the Stacy Watler Pavilion in Lower Valley, Wednesday, February 14th. For more information, visit them on Facebook or caymanagriculture.ky.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At Valley Med Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit Valley Med Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with Valley Med Pharmacy.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from the 5th to the 10th of February at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you are seeking advanced skin care, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full service and dermatological service practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020. Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And I'm always grateful to the opportunity through our Health Services Authority in particular, but all of our medical community, for not only helping us to understand the available opportunities both for education but for patient care that we have in this very small country, but the excellent, committed, and dedicated team. Now, I always call her the cancer czar, but she laughs. Thank you, Mr. Amanda Nixon, our registrar for the cancer register, right? So, good afternoon. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
You know, I am great, thank God. If I wasn't, I would still say it, because I know that you call those things that aren't as if they were. But we live in a great place, and despite all this happening globally, we have people around us who have genuine hearts and a sincere commitment.
Absolutely.
For extending their hands and hearts to helping others. So it's a good time.
Excellent, yes.
There we go. All right, so I'm excited. I always get to learn more. But to you and through you first, I say, let's get it started. Welcome again. World Cancer Day, and then you do a quick intro as we talked about, and then you have your colleague. We can do this. We've been doing this before. I could even go to lunch now and come back tomorrow, and this will be good.
Yes, well, World Cancer Day is coming up. It is every year on February 4th. And the group that started that is the Union for International Cancer Control. And the goal really is to just raise awareness about cancer, cancer prevention, reduce the stigma around cancer, and target misinformation and make sure that everyone is well informed about how to stay healthy and what cancer is. And this year, the Health Services Authority is having an event at the Westin to recognize World Cancer Day. And the event is called the Holistic Approach to Oncology Management. And that's actually going to be on February 1st in the Governor's Ballroom at the Westin. And there's going to be presentations, there's going to be information booths, panel discussion, all sorts of opportunities for people to recognize World Cancer Day and learn a little bit about it.
Mm-hmm. And that's, as even as I hear you talk about the holistic approach, increasingly we're seeing that more and more in medicine. But as we'd asked first, kind of like we go into a prize fight and you're introducing the challenger to the champion. In this corner, introduce set you up to introduce your colleague, because we want to do it properly. I sent you the script, right?
Sure. We don't need a script. Okay, yes, I am happy to be here today with the HSA's newest hematologist-oncologist, Dr. Danielle Smelly.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Dr. Smith, thanks so much. It's one thing to do something consistently without it becoming complacent, or you become so comfortable that you forget that you're just doing it. And what I love with Miss Amanda is that even though we talk about the cancer registry, we encourage people to appreciate not only that it's confidential, but the importance of data collection, and then to have this regular feature. My personal appeal is that we get more of our community to do two things. Hey, there are many opportunities in the medical field, and even if you want to be a physician, the specialties are there. But even if you have no interest, look at what the small country is offering for its population. The things that are available now that maybe last year, this time ago, it wasn't. With the promise and potential that a year from now, even more so, from the latest technology that has been deployed to the techniques to the specialties in terms of the surgeries. For me, wow, if I can get it here, it's a good place to be. So, oncology and hematology, and the inside joke just now was, well, what's the difference? Whatever. But welcome. We'll get more from you as you share with us.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think I understand oncology, but just in case I don't, that's sort of related to cancer, and as an oncologist, as a cancer specialist, but make sure I understand it even better. What is oncology?
Absolutely. So you're completely right. Oncology is the medical specialty that relates specifically to the care of cancer. And you can break it down even further into specialists that use medicine to treat cancer, which is me. That would make me a medical oncologist. You have specialists that treat cancer with surgery. Those would be our surgical oncologists. You have specialists that use radiation to treat cancer. Those would be our radiation oncologists. And so we have all of these different modes of approaching cancer treatment. So it makes it really, really exciting, because you can basically convert cancer into something that is chronic as opposed to something that is terminal, which I think is a really good way of looking at cancer care going forward.
And I tell people it's not about semantics. I mean, I like the etymology of words, and but chronic versus terminal, the dictionary definition would be very different. And now with that in mind, that can give us a peace of mind, or at least a sense that, hey, it is what it is, but it's not terminal. There's hope. Who knows?
Lots of hope.
All right. You talked about the different specialists, from the radiation oncologists to the surgical to the like. Does that mean that they're all doctors, physicians, but they have to specialize? If you're a radiation oncologist versus a surgical oncologist, you don't do one and the other. You do one
So it really depends on where you train.
Okay.
So in some places, when you can be a clinical oncologist, and a clinical oncologist does both radiation and medical oncology.
Okay.
So the nuance kind of comes out depending on where which country you train in. But I do specifically medical oncology, which means I don't do any radiation at all. The surgical oncologists, on the other hand, are very straightforward. They're surgeons who then go ahead and specialize usually in operating on a particular body part. So you have breast surgical oncologist, or you can have a urological surgical oncologist, and it gets very, very specialized. And in some places, they have very fancy robots to help them operate, and it gets really technical and really precise.
See, now I learned it. So you may be a surgical oncologist, but you may only be for one particular body part.
Correct.
A surgeon isn't always a surgeon. So and this is where I think through this education to our parents who may be half attentive, helping our children to navigate career choices. Yes, you want to be a doctor, but look at all these areas that are available to you, and increasingly allowing you, if you so choose, not only practice overseas for 10, 15 years, but you can come back to Cayman, or you can come back to Cayman and get experience, get an opportunity to, hone your craft.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? Your grandparents wouldn't have realized what we have available to us, Well, with that in mind, it's one thing that we have those resources available from the staff and to the, the actual equipment, but then the incidence and prevalence of cancers, I guess the cancer registry more and more is where it would help us to inform policy, help physicians to appreciate what they need to do in terms of continued training or other equipment or medicines. So Ms. Amanda, this kind of falls in your court again, huh?
Yes. Yeah, the goal with the cancer registry was to better understand what cancer trends look like here. Unlike some other places, when someone's diagnosed with cancer in Cayman, it doesn't automatically get sent to a central registry. So we have what we call a voluntary registry. So we rely on cancer survivors to come to us and provide us with just some very basic information about demographics and their diagnosis. And it's confidential. We don't share it with anybody. But with that information, like you said, we can figure out what we need to do to improve our prevention efforts and to move forward.
Okay. Well, let's take this quick break. And if I could ask you not only about the upcoming event, but the holistic approach. What does that mean? What does that look like for the patient? Just share with us as much as you can. Inquiring minds want to know. All right. Please join us right after the break.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh. Welcome to a new year with Digicel. Elevate your mobile experience by switching to our prepaid or postpaid plans. Enjoy more data, seamless communication, and uninterrupted entertainment. Plus, make the switch now for a chance to win exciting rewards. Stay connected, entertained, and make 2024 your year with Digicel. Because better connections make a better year.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I go in flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Water Authority Cayman wishes to advise its customers of a planned service interruption in the Prospect area on Wednesday, January 31st to facilitate infrastructure works in the area. Customers on the following roads will experience an interruption of service between 8:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. Whirlwind Drive, Sweet Leaf Close, Ribbon Close, Chickadee Close, Mara Vista Close, and Veers Close. The Water Authority appreciates the patience and understanding of its customers and the public as it upgrades its water infrastructure and do apologize for any inconvenience caused.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks to Ms. Amanda Nicholson, our, cancer registrar, and Dr. Smeller for joining us. As we're talking about oncology and hematology, and thank you for helping us to understand. I think more that we ask, and we ask with the intent to try to understand. Now, you share this oncology, hematology, and blood. They kind of go together, but you know what? I may ask the question tomorrow because I may have forgotten it, but let me ask it again today. So, oncologist, hematologist. Okay, what's the hematology part?
So the hematology part is the part where we look at your blood.
Okay.
And there can be things wrong with your blood that are what we call benign. What that is, they don't have anything to do with cancer.
Okay.
So things like iron deficiency, or people who may have problems with bleeding disorders, or people who may be prone to forming blood clots, they may need the services of a hematologist. But then there's also malignant hematology, which is essentially the cancers of the blood. And that's things like leukemia and lymphoma and multiple myeloma, which we have a lot of here in Cayman.
Do we know the incidence? I mean, multiple myeloma is a word that I would not have known but for a few years ago. And I've heard it a little bit more often than I would like to hear it. So having that incidence of it, do we know the numbers? And then do we know potential why there's such a seemingly an increase in presentation of it?
So multiple myeloma is, I think, one of the most common blood cancers internationally. I'm new. I've only been in Cayman a few months, so I don't have the Cayman numbers specifically.
Okay.
But I can say anecdotally, just from going to work, multiple myeloma is one of the most common blood cancers that we see here. And I say blood cancer, but I don't actually mean that it's in the blood that's floating around in the body. It's more that it's in the bones where the blood is made.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it causes the problem and makes a mess.
Yeah. And thanks for clarifying that, because I think sometimes we say things without fully asking for clarity and knowing that it's not a cancer in the blood that runs around and whichever, because they would say, well, like a change in the engine oil, you can just take your blood and put another blood in. It's in the bones, and then that goes through potentially the whole body and all the organs.
Absolutely.
And there's an impact. So I wonder to what extent multiple myeloma, with that in mind, obviously it would probably indicate why it's so prevalent, but why in the Cayman context, and this is where the cancer registry may help us to see the incidence of certain things and may be able to even trace it back to, what, it's right there, that's what it is. But we don't know if we don't know.
Very true.
Two statements today. Come on. Yeah, I told people I was not a politician. See, I tell it, well, I better be. I'm going to have to pay for dinner later. No, I think I always learned better through a little bit of levity. But this is very serious because those people are us. We're them. And it could be ourselves. And we're mindful that we have good resources, but sometimes something is terminal, not just that it's chronic, and when it's terminal, well, it's not an airport, So, Miss Amanda, with that, as we ask Dr. Smeller to come back in a second, we talk about a holistic approach. We let the physicians speak to that, but from your approach, the event in February, tell us about it and who's part of it, and then I'll ask Dr. Smeller to expound on, what is the holistic approach and why that is.
Well, a holistic approach is, you're not just looking at treatment. There's a psychological component as well. There's a mental health element. Yeah. And the HSA's clinical psychologist will be presenting at the event as well. But it's about looking at the whole person and not just the disease. Yeah.
Okay. Who is, many times these events put on by the medical community, for the majority as well, that's for the medical community. But who's the target audience? Could even talk show hosts attend? School
anybody.
Teachers?
Yes, no, it's open to everyone. We want members of the public to attend and hear what we have to say and learn a little bit more about a holistic approach to this disease.
So as part of World Cancer Day, is there registration? Is there a cost?
I don't believe so. I think anyone can attend. They're not requiring us to buy tickets or anything. It's just come and listen.
Come as you are. And this is where I think learning, and I'm very much mindful of that saying, a little learning is a dangerous thing, but having knowledge of something should position you to be able to recognize that you don't know as much as you think. And the one thing that you know is that you don't know what you don't know. It may put you in a position for Dr. Smiley. She laughs.
No, I'm laughing because it's true.
It's so true.
It's
very
true.
Absolutely. No, but it's true, right? And so we know that holistic approach. We understand the word. We hear it so often that sadly, like so much, it just falls away. Like sustainability these days, we just bat it about. Inclusive. Another word, inclusion. But having a holistic approach, I think, as a physician, would help us so that we look at our diet, our exercise, our lifestyle. We think of what else we're doing and how it impacts us, and maybe consciously try to do things to, if not mitigate, potentially even avoid. All right. Now, tell us, what would you want us to do? How should we do it?
So for me, a holistic approach is about remembering that that's an attitude. It's something that you embody. It's not a set of techniques. It's not a checkbox. It's not a list that you're trying to get through.
Right.
It's about remembering that the person in front of you is a complete human. They have a context. They have a family. They have a network. They come from somewhere. And you are trying your best to understand that context and to help marry that with, the treatment that they need, not just in terms of their medication, but what do they need to get from the beginning of this to the end of this emotionally? What do they need psychologically? What do they need in terms of just transport? It's recognizing that, this person doesn't drive, so how am I going to schedule their treatment for them to come back and forth? And this person likes to knit, so am I going to prescribe a medication that might cause numbness to their fingers? That maybe that's not the best choice. And it's about making choices that not just help to treat the disease, because treating the disease is important, but quality of life is also really important. And how do we treat you so that your quality of life actually gets better? And so for me, that's what a holistic approach tries to embody, treating the disease, but also ensuring that ultimately what we're doing is maintaining and improving your quality of life as much as we can.
Not just extending the years, but adding years to the life.
Adding value to those years, yeah.
And as you said that, I a family member while undergoing treatment, you use knitting as an example, not just to pass the time, but to make it feel, I'm getting to where I want to be while they're doing that therapy for that extended 4-6 hours. Because sometimes that's how long they're there while that treatment is being administered. They're not just mindlessly looking at this dumb screen and being foolishly entertained. They're doing something that is, engaging.
Yep.
I wrote down, you didn't see it, and if you did, you probably couldn't decipher it because I can barely read it. Handwriting is getting worse as right hand, much less the left. My uncle always said mind over matter. And when you said holistic, I thought, he's saying you want to embody so that you position your mind in such a way that you don't become so overwhelmed and you have that positive space, I guess, using today's parlance. We want that approach so that the person is able to do these things.
Yes.
Easy said than done, though, Miss Amanda.
Very much so. A positive mindset is great. I, however, do not have that as a requirement. What I require is your honesty. Come and tell me what you need. come and tell me what you're
Okay.
not coping with.
Uh-huh.
Let me figure out how I can help you.
Okay.
And that's what we try to do at HSA is you don't have to come in, ready to go. You can be scared. I don't mind. We can help you if you're scared. I can help you if you're not sure. I can help you if you're confused. Just tell me what you need, and I will try to meet you there as much as possible. We have psychologists to talk to you about your feelings. If you want to know, what can I eat? A lot of people come in and they're scared. They're like, well, what can I eat? And, how can I strengthen my body with my diet?
Yeah.
That's what our nutritionist is there for. We're happy. We always refer to our nutritionist, and it's just about remembering that this is a team approach. And that one person isn't necessarily going to provide you with everything that you need, but we can certainly start to bring in the team members that you need so that you have a full support system.
Right.
And that's what we give you at HSA.
It's amazing that approach to patient care where, everybody's playing a role to, just improve quality of life. As you said that, and I use this opportunity as much as I never used to talk about me personally. I want to use this as an example for people. Don't be so stubborn and stupid as I've done ignoring this, right? So I go into the physio, and she said, listen, the goal isn't to push through the pain. It's goal that there's no pain. We always say here, no pain, no gain. That sounds to be a very foolish statement, but we subscribe to it. And I can't do the particular physiotherapy activity because it's excruciating.
Yeah.
Right? And if I do that because, you're tough, man it up, you end up destroying and making it worse. And many of us do that. We ignore that pain because I can grin and bear it. We don't be honest with the physician and say, hey, when I do this happens. Maybe we're embarrassed. Maybe we think we're weak. So I ask, straight out to ask, when we come out from the break, how do we get our people be a part of the conference to understand that asking for help and accepting help that's offered is a sign of strength? Understanding that, those 4 hours that you're not sleeping at night, maybe should be 8 that you sleep comfortably. Maybe that food that you're not eating because you don't like the taste or you're told was bad, maybe you need to get it or you need to cut back on these. Could they, in fact, help us with our health and wellness? And how can we make that lifestyle? Boy, on a Tuesday, imagine how pensive he can be. All right, we're going to pause and take the break, and when we come back, for as long as our guests will allow us, we'll engage. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Yesterday,
Today,
always and forever.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The National Roads Authority will be closing off the westbound lane of Linford-Pearson Highway between the Agnes Roundabout and the Bobby Thompson Roundabout this coming Sunday, February 4th, from 6 a.m. to approximately 6 p.m. in order to undertake continuing road improvement works pending weather. In international news, parcel delivery firm UPS has said it will cut 12,000 jobs after it was hit by a softer economy and a labor fight that scared away some customers. Chief Executive Carol Tomei said 2023 was a difficult and disappointing year, and the firm was investing in artificial intelligence as it pushes to become more efficient. She also called staff back to the office 5 days a week. The job cuts are expected to reduce. Environmental protesters have thrown soup at the glass-protected Mona Lisa in France, calling for the right to healthy and sustainable food. The 16th century painting by Leonardo da Vinci is one of the world's most famous artworks and is held at the Louvre in central Paris. The Louvre said the work was behind protective glass and was not damaged. Video shows 2 female protesters standing in front of the painting, saying what is more important, art or the right to healthy and sustainable food. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, K-Man?
Hey, welcome back. And I wonder if I was to answer that question, what would be on my mind? Well, Dr. Smelly and Susan should say that publicly. And Miss Amanda, thank you both for joining us. Let's change it for a second. Miss Amanda, what do you think my answer would be if I was asked, what was on your mind? Susan says chocolate. What do you say?
What's on my mind?
Yeah, what's on my mind? What's on your mind?
I suppose preparing for the event is on my mind. I feel like this is going to be a big deal. We haven't done it in a couple of years, because of COVID. We just weren't able to do it. So we're happy to be back on the ball and being able to share this information again.
All right. So as a cancer registrar, Miss Amanda Nicholas, what is the event in case someone's just jumping back into their car, heading up to lunch?
The event is at the Westin on February 1st in recognition of World Cancer Day, which is actually on the 4th. And it's really just to promote understanding of what people can do to prevent cancer and to understand things like, that cancer is not a death sentence and what services we have available on island now that we didn't have even 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So just to promote awareness and encourage healthy lifestyle.
So I think the first is this Thursday.
Yes.
The West End is, in West Bay. That's why it's West End.
No, it almost is.
No, I'm just teasing. Okay, it's a good facility. It's in their Governor's Ballroom?
Governor's Ballroom,
okay.
Yes.
And what time?
Oh, I didn't mention that. Yeah.
Okay.
The reception starts at 5, and the presentations will start at 5:30, and I believe it finishes up at 7:30.
And for people, this is PM, okay?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I'm just teasing. Hopefully people remember that. Yeah, he said PM. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's afternoon. This Thursday, and it's in the evening. And I guess presentations from some of your team in the psychiatry department.
Yeah,
so tell us
more. We're very fortunate to have the Minister of Health and Wellness, Honorable Sabrina Turner, is going to do the welcome and opening remarks. And we've got presentations from Dr. Nick Gent, Dr. Smelly here, as well as several other physicians from the HSA. And there will be information booths set up. I think we have a few nonprofits within the community, maybe the Cancer Society, who will be there. Mm-hmm. Cancer Registry will be there for anyone who wants to get information or to register. And at the end, there will be a panel discussion. And I believe that the attendees will be able to ask questions of the panel.
Okay. If Dr. Smiley is so inclined, as we ask Miss Amanda, what's on your mind? I mean, she's preparing for the conference. What about you?
Well, you see, Miss Amanda's just reminded me that, the panel discussion is going to be really, really interesting because it's going to be extended beyond just the presenters. Mm-hmm. So although the presenters will all be from HSA, the panel will contain, people that don't necessarily speak, like our nutritionist will be there to answer questions about diet. We'll have representatives from Jasmine to talk about palliative care, which I think is really important because we work with them so much, and they're so helpful in helping us to get really good quality of life and symptom control for our patients. So it's going to be a really good, really interesting panel, and I really hope people come and participate.
Indeed. And with that participation, we know some events like this offer continuing education for the professionals. Mm-hmm. For those in the medical profession who attend, do they qualify for any units?
I believe
2.
So. Yeah, there's
okay.
2. There's 2.
And again, another perhaps accessible, affordable opportunity instead of having to travel elsewhere, perhaps in a space that they don't want to be.
Yep,
absolutely.
Right. See, we incentivize, we provide opportunities. Can I, with the greatest respect, ask, picking up what Ms. Amanda shared to you, Dr. Smiley, cancer is no longer a death sentence in many instances. We are thankful that we have an increasingly more and more educational awareness for the wider public. I think of the Lions Club, for instance, or Grand Cayman, and the Lions Club Tropical Gardens, just their initiatives relative to PACE and breast cancer, respectively. So we're having these conversations, we're not whispering it. But you go to the physician and they tell you something, even when they come back and they say, oh, the tumor is benign, there's that dread, there's that fear, there's that thing, could it come back? So help us to appreciate that, you have this diagnosis, whatever stage it's at, here is the prognosis, but there's a psychological impact as well as the physical. Would you help us to sort of navigate that chart as best as possible?
I mean, absolutely. So first and foremost, I want to take the opportunity to clarify for people who maybe don't understand that when we're talking about a cancer, what we're talking about is generally an abnormal growth of tissue that has the ability to invade the body and spread to other parts.
Okay.
That's generally what we mean when we say that something is a cancer. And then when we test it, so usually there's a testing first to take a small piece of it to say, yes, this is a cancer, no, this is not a cancer. And that test can usually give us an idea of, is this likely to invade? Is it likely to spread? And we can get a lot of information from that initial test. Once we have that information, very frequently there's more information that we need to get. So there's a big information gathering stage at the beginning. And we understand that that can be a stage that's full of anxiety because we don't have all the answers right away. And that's usually when we will invite our psychologist to be involved, to help to navigate and to give you coping tools with that anxiety until we can thoroughly answer those questions and ensure that we, make sure we meet those educational needs that you have about what's going on with your body. And then usually once we can tell people, okay, this is what it is, this is what are your treatments going to involve, this is, how long this is likely to affect your life for, they start to feel better, but then they have another sort of hurdle of, what's the treatment going to do? Am I going to be able to withstand treatment? And you were saying before about, we have this tendency to think that we should shoulder sort of the pain and sort of, no pain, no gain kind of approach. We don't want you to do that. We want you to tell us.
Exactly.
If you can't manage something, we can adjust it. Things are adjustable. We can adjust doses. We can modify meds. We can take things out. We can treat you in a way that is effective without it diminishing your quality of life. And it's just about being willing to communicate with us to say, I don't like this, I don't like that. We'll adjust as much as we need to ensure that you get the treatment you need, and also you're not left with sort of these debilitating side effects afterwards. So it's mostly about communication, and it's mostly about letting us know how we can help you and what you need from us so that we can meet that expectation.
It's back to why you use that word honesty in the words of the Bill Joel song. You want your patients to be honest with you. And I'm glad that you referenced that. That's why I was hoping to say to people, don't be like someone, don't believe you got to grin and bear it. Because I'm so grateful to the physiotherapist for her saying, listen, you don't need to demonstrate any toughness or whatever. You have pain. We don't want you to have pain. We want you to get better. We want you to, it may be a bit of a discomfort, but it has to be in a manageable way that it helps, not harms. The physician, the physiotherapist, nobody will know unless you tell them. And it doesn't make that you're not tough or that you're weak. It just means that you're sensible, right? And if we're honest throughout our relationship with our physician, we went and we say, Doc, boy, this time this thing happened and I didn't notice it before. Unless you're a mind reader. Are you a mind reader? You wouldn't know, right? We don't communicate.
That's very true.
How do we get there, though? So we come and we say, listen, that little thing that was in the last year, but we are afraid to say it because we don't want to be a bother. We're afraid to say it because maybe we don't want to know, what, like now, if I don't acknowledge it, it'll go away.
I think a lot of us do that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, so I'm so happy you brought this up, because what I love to tell people is that the earlier you sort a cancer out, one, the easier it is to fix.
Okay.
Right? So your hesitation and that sort of, I don't really want to know, that's what's going to make it harder to treat. That's what's going to give it time to get bigger, to get more complex, to get, harder, to just be more difficult to remove from your body. So the more you know, the earlier you know, the better it is, the easier it is, the less medication you're going to need, the cheaper it is to treat. It's just miles different to do something that's in the early stage versus treating something that's a lot bigger in a lot later stage.
Once the prevention is upon a cure, that applies to everything, right?
Yep.
So it's here and now, but if you ignore it, it'll be here, here, and here.
Yep,
okay.
Absolutely.
Can I ask one more, Mr. Amanda, before I come to ask you? You referenced earlier, tissue growth. Well, that was a two-part question. Is that the same as a tumor? Or is a tumor something different than tissue growth? I just want to make sure.
So tumors are technical term. So tumor is just a technical term for a growth or a swelling.
Okay.
And that's all it means. Is that it's sort of the medical term for lump. That's how I think about it. Tumor is the medical term for a lump. And then it really just is a description of, this is a collection of cells in a place. and we refer to that as a tumor. And then we can add other descriptions to it to qualify sort of what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we hear, cancers are malignant or benign.
Mhm.
And sometimes we go away going, oh, it's benign. But can a benign tumor, benign cancer be concerning, or only if it's where it is?
It's not common for a benign cancer to be concerning. So there are some, what we try to do is there are some that are what we call borderline, where, they kind of are straddling the line between benign and malignant. But in general, when something is benign, you can feel reassured that it can generally be removed with surgery alone. It's unlikely to come back. It's unlikely to grow much bigger than it is when you find it. And so you can usually sort of relax and breathe easy if someone tells you that something's benign.
See, this is where I think having information, having that open, honest communication with your physician, it could just be a concern. You may notice something you're not quite sure. But if you don't ask, if you don't engage, you're going to have this psychological weight that could impact you. Back to the mind of a matter, right, Mr. Wando? I mean, I like to know, you see, and maybe that's why in school I either was a favorite or not, because I ask questions. But then I go and come back wanting to know more. I think our physicians are trying to educate and inform us as we do our part. Mr. Wando, the perils of the parent. I'm just kidding. But again, I say that to share that here's an opportunity not just for the medical community, but the wider community to come out a few hours on Thursday evening and come away with some knowledge that they may not have had, maybe confirmation of something that they suspected, or actually confirmation that they were totally wrong.
It's a good opportunity for people to ask questions, whatever's weighing on your mind, whatever you're not sure about, you couldn't ask for a better group of people to answer those questions and give you that information.
And it's all right here to us. I mean, for some of us, it's unfortunate. We don't avail ourselves of opportunities. And understandably, there's a lot of demands on our time. We may want to, but we can't because of this. This would be one that could be helpful for many.
Absolutely. And there are no silly questions. I don't want anyone to think, my question's too silly to ask. Someone's going to... No, absolutely not. It's an environment for learning. So bring your curiosity, because you'd be surprised how many people have exactly the same question that you have.
Very true.
But lack the courage to ask because they were fearful that they'd be looked at as being stupid.
And you won't be.
Well, the only stupid question is probably the one that's never asked.
Exactly.
All right, wonderful people. You have, full approval to remain after the break. But I know, unlike you, I'm at work. You guys got to, jump the fence and go and eat the barbed wire and get back into the offices. You want to continue with Miss Amanda, or you need to get back to that pressing day of yours?
I'm up for anything.
I'm okay for until at least 2:30.
Okay.
I'm good to go.
Can I hit 2:45? 2:45, 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Everybody goes 2:15, 3 o'clock. I'm just... All right. Got a couple of things to ask off. Thanks so much. And I'm hoping that we take ownership and interest in our own health and well-being, but also, for those in our care, whether it's, our aging siblings or parents, or just the interest of our children and spouse. All right. Please join us after the break. If you have a question or comment, you want clarification, please call Miss Susan on 925. No, just kidding. It's 925-3261. That's their WhatsApp number. You can call her and that she'll answer it. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Welcome to a new year with Digicel. Elevate your mobile experience by switching to our prepaid or postpaid plans. Enjoy more data, seamless communication, and uninterrupted entertainment. Plus, make the switch now for a chance to win exciting rewards. Stay connected, entertained, and make 2024 your year with Digicel. Because better connections make a better year.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
The 2023 Household Budget Survey is currently being conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office. The data collected from the survey will determine the items and the dollar value of these items that are included in the new Consumer Price Index basket of consumer goods and services for the Cayman Islands. Trained interviewers with identification cards from the ESO will visit 2,400 randomly selected households across all districts. The Household Budget Survey will run for 1 year, ending February 2024. Approximately 200 households will be interviewed each month. The interviews are confidential in accordance with a Statistics Act. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from Freedom of Information requests. For further information on any aspect of the Household Budget Survey, please contact the ESO hotline at 516-3329. Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks very much for joining us, and thanks to, I think the term should be officially changed to a cancer czar or cancer registrar, Ms. Amanda Nixon. Should we put it to a vote, cancer czar or cancer registrar?
I think czar.
Czar. All in favor? Aye. Motion
I'll get the
carries.
business cards changed.
Please do. No, and it's not, and I say this, not to offend or to play it down. It's to encourage that you have a diagnosis. Let it be that, pursue it, and let it be that you've caught it early, and don't do like so many of us where we ignore the thing, and all of a sudden now it's at a stage where it's no longer chronic, to use Dr. Sweller's words. It's now terminal. And that would be on us if we're not, more mindful. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But I wanted to share that, to ask of you, Miss Amanda, as the cancer registrar. It is one thing to be able to deploy policies and strategies to get the resources, whether personnel or equipment, but you need to know, and you're not buying just on a whim. So our registry could help us to appreciate there's an incidence of this, on a more frequent basis than previously, or we're seeing this now going down, so therefore we need to focus on that and not continue because we don't know. Absolutely.
The registry is just your base of information for all sorts of things, for understanding what the hospital needs, what sort of doctors they need, what kind of medication do we need. And you don't know those things if you don't know the incidence of each particular cancer. Uh-huh. So it's really important that cancer survivors in the community come and share that with us, so that, that will benefit everyone. It will be especially beneficial to future generations on down the road as well. Mm. And it's, as I mentioned, it's confidential. It's very easy. And the information we gather is stuff you're going to know off the top of your head. It's nothing tricky. Yeah. And even if it's someone who has, passed, we can still provide that. Now, for some people, they would say, well, what's the point? I was 5, 10, 15 years ago. Doesn't matter. Yeah, A, does it matter? And B, can we still provide it? I think it does matter, because then you can see trends over time, not just what's happening today, but, how it's been, how it is, and help us maybe figure out what to do going forward. Can I then ask, I hope that I ask this in a sensible way, we have data over, say, 10 years. Year 1, we can see X number, year 2, Y, and so on. When we put the data in and look at it, would we then be able to say total number of cases over the 10 years is, X plus 1, but in each year we'll be able to break it down to see the changes, so do we graph it? Yeah, you can break it down by year. Okay. Yeah, it's easy. Which would be helpful, because there may be something particular that occurred, and you might be able to say, well, that may not necessarily be anything more than just a coincidence. Now, how does that help, you and your colleagues, Dr. Swelly, when you have that data?
you can compare it to what you see in practice, or is it just more data for politicians to talk about?
So the countries that have the strongest cancer care pathways are the countries that know their data. The countries with the strongest registries have the best systems in place for, you have a lump, here's the pathway, this is what's supposed to happen, and all you have to do is activate that pathway, and everyone who is along the pathway knows, okay, this is what I'm going to do, this is the time frame I have in which to do it, and it just goes, it's a lot smoother. So knowing the data is going to help us to know, okay, well, where are we falling short in our system for particular types of cancer? Who's getting better? Who's not getting better? If they're not getting better, why? Is it a delay in diagnosis? Is it a delay in getting the medication? How can we shore up those gaps so that you have the smoothest, most seamless treatment that we can provide? And registry data is key to us identifying those gaps and filling them.
I recognize that this could border on policy and political discussion, but just generally, some would say, well, why do you need that to know what to do? I mean, cancer is cancer, and you come in, you treat, and you should have the pathways. As much as I do not want to stray into the end of those other areas, do we need that registering that data in order to know the pathway?
Yes. So I can have a notion and say, this is how I think it should operate.
Right.
But my notions and the real world may not be coinciding. You don't know what you're blind to. You can only say, well, this is how I see it. And, if it's supposed to work this way, why isn't it working this way? Oh. So if we have the data, we can then take that data and say, okay, well, we know we have this many of lung cancer, just to pull one out of a hat.
Right.
We know we have this much lung cancer. And then we can say, okay, let us look, now that we know that we diagnosed this many, well, let's look at the outcomes. How many of them are alive in 2 years? How many of them are alive in 5 years? How many of them are alive in 10 years? And the ones who are alive in 10 years, what do those have in common? How do we get more people to 10 years? But we can't get there if we don't know where we started. Yeah. So it's about having the data set there so that we can look at it and say, okay, well, how well are we doing? And we can't measure how well we're doing if we don't know how many people we diagnosed in the first place.
I like the way you so simply put that, because if we don't, what I say, long journey begins with the first step. To help future, we need to know what transpired in the past, and maybe it was a particular course of treatment. It may have been the addition or the, perhaps subtraction or something. We just can't operate in a vacuum.
No, yeah, it's like trying to navigate without a map. You're really taking a shot in the dark if you don't know the full scope of how this disease impacts this population. And our population is really diverse. I think there's like 135 different nationalities here. So cancer trends here might not look like other places.
Yeah.
And we need to know that.
And the more that we hear, the more that we intermarry, the more that we travel and be, I don't like the word exposed. That's not a word. I say introduce, become acquainted with other things. The more that it could impact us. It would probably mean that what may become evident in some places in 5 or 10 years may take a lot longer for it to have a sense of a trend. Who knew statistics were important? Just to throw us that in school. I'm just kidding. But as much as that is important to that person listening now, what can we say to them in terms of, hey, go get checked, go have a conversation, an honest, frank, open conversation, maybe with your primary care physician in the first instance, maybe that thing that you worried about because it was in the family, maybe that thing that you saw that you thought, and how do we get them to have the, I don't want to say the courage, the good, sense to look after themselves? And no, stop ignoring it. Come talk to you, come talk to their GP. Just get it checked, do the test, figure it out.
I would say that it can be very difficult to overcome that. But, even if you personally are somebody that is proactive about your health, if you know someone that maybe isn't so proactive, they're hesitant, encourage them, tell them you'll go with them. I find a lot of people are scared to come by themselves. They're afraid that I'll start talking and they won't understand what I'm saying. And I say to them, you can bring someone to help you ask the questions, bring someone to help you understand, because I may think I'm being clear, but the person that you bring is going to help us to bridge that gap so that you get the information that you need. So if you need some encouragement, you don't have to start off by saying, oh, I'm going to go to the doctor. Talk to your friend.
Yeah.
Tell your friend, hey, I'm kind of scared, and you can encourage each other, and because it's all about finding a team and finding a support system.
Thank you for sharing that, because a friend relayed, it isn't so much that sometimes we are afraid, we don't want to know, we figure if we ignore it. It isn't that you don't necessarily may not have the competence nor the capacity to understand. It's highly possible that as you're talking to the physician, you already consume unconsciously what's transpiring, and you're not attentive to the words, and then you go away going, you know what, I blanked out for a second. That may not happen to anybody else, right? But you're in that space where you're fearing the worst, you're so caught, so your friend is there with you, she's paying attention, and you advocate. Thank you for extending that. Hopefully more of us will do that. It's for health. I mean, I don't know how much money we have, but I don't think we can buy health, or can we? Maybe we can. I mean, I don't think so. By right now,
I don't think I've not seen a cancer yet that responds to a dollar bill. So,
well said.
Wow, that should be the new mantra. But yet we believe, what's the song? You spend all your time making money, and all of a sudden now you got to spend your money trying to get your health. It doesn't work that way. All right, Ms. Amanda, in closing thoughts, I'll start with you first. You can talk about the upcoming event on the 1st. You can remind us of the importance of being a part of the cancer registry.
Sure.
And then Dr. Smeller can sing us in closing, whatever she wishes.
Yes, the HSA event is at the Westin this Thursday. As I mentioned, it's presentations, booths, all sorts of good information in the Governor's Ballroom, and it starts at 5. And just to end with a quick little plea to any cancer survivors who are listening, please take the time to at least learn about the registry and see if it's something you'd like to participate in. All my contact information is on the HSA's website, and for anyone listening, my number is 244-2560, and I'm always happy to speak with people.
Thanks very much. Dr. Swally?
I think I would want to close by encouraging everyone to come out on Thursday. It's a great opportunity to get information firsthand from people who do this work every single day. And also just to say, if you or someone is affected by cancer, I don't want you to think of it as, it's a punishment for something that you've done wrong in your life. A lot of people are afraid. They're like, oh, I didn't eat well or I didn't exercise and that's why this happened to me. It happened to you because it happened. There are lots of people who eat perfectly still end up with cancer. So don't be discouraged, because you deserve treatment. You deserve to get better. You deserve to live your life to the fullest and to the best quality possible. And we can help you do that. So please let us help you do that.
Thank you. And as I think you said it may be chronic, but it doesn't have to be terminal.
Does not have to be terminal.
And I'm hoping that we'll have those open, frank discussions with our physicians as friends and loved ones, that will partner with that person and show true love and say, hey, I'll go with you to the physician. It may be to get your results, it may be to get your check. That's a true, indication of love. Hey, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wholesome agape love. All right, well, thank you all very much. And if you take anything from me, let me borrow from Dr. Borden. Don't ignore that niggling feeling. I didn't see where I am at now. I could probably be out on the punching bags had I not been so foolish, and now I probably looking at a long recovery, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I still eat my chocolate.
There we go.
It's good
Silver
for
lining.
you.
Silver lining.
There you go. All right, please join Mr. Art in the morning for the record. Come back for a talk today right after the midday news. A quick advisory. I might be a little bit late because I got physio. I know people are like, wait, he's okay. Just need to figure out when the appointment is. We'll navigate that tomorrow, but I'll be here, God's willing. Susan will be on the brack getting some boba bread eggs. No, she won't be. Have a wonderful afternoon. If nothing else, if you can't love, laugh, and if you can laugh, well, love. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.